Good morning again. This is part 2 of innovation. And if you've noticed, it's episode 50 and the other one's episode 51. But this was the second video I made. I did this intentionally because time means nothing to me. And the order of things is how I decide that they are, not how someone else tells me or dictates they must be. I do not think linearly, and therefore I shall not treat it as a linear experience or linear social experiment, as it were. So, what I didn't say in the last video, and which I'm saying in this video, in which if you watch in order, you'll watch first, and then it'll really start to confuse you because you realize we're already going in reverse in time, is the math behind how I created free energy. I wanted to make sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that if you came with arguments and lies, that I was smart enough to argue my point to stop you in your tracks. I love math. Free will is me math. So let me explain to you how I created this math equation, exactly what it is, how you can put it on paper, and how you can apply it to each and every math and science that you currently have, and how it will re-affect the entire world. Let me do that. Let me get real boastful now. Second video, I get a little boastful because I did something. It's already done. But in this video, which is after that video, but actually should have been before that video, was the math as to why this was even possible. So I'm going to give you a few examples. We're going to go into it a little bit because this is my philosophy. My philosophy is directly related to this one math equation. And it has worked 100% of the time. And it works for anybody that chooses to use it, which means it's real math. Watch, here we go. To create nuclear explosion, you create a series of reactions that ripple into one reaction. You want one reaction, the nuclear detonation. And you create all these actions that cause this one reaction to happen. You're putting in 1,000 times the amount of effort as the one reaction you want to get back. That's math. I state to you, it works both ways. Here's the math equation. If you create an action and you have 1,000 reactions that are supposed to happen, and that one action is enough to make 1,000 reactions happen. If the 1,000 reactions become an action that produce electricity, then you can put in X and get back Y based on how efficiently you can use the energy of the action to perfectly create X amount of reactions. And if the point is to use electricity, 1 volt, 1 watt, however you want to use it to break it down, push or volume. I understand electricity perfectly. Don't forget resistance. But if you can use one action without resistance to perfectly create X amount of reactions, and all those reactions sum total equals greater than the original action, and there it is. That's my math equation. And it works with quantum physics. It works with human interaction with people. And it works with electricity. It works perfectly with all three things. Why does it work with quantum physics? the interconnection of everything. Let's say you make a speech and you affect 1,000 people, and all 1,000 of those people think differently and some aspect of their life changes. That is putting in one action, and the way that you spoke created the reaction and how all of those people thought, and they changed and created more energy than just your words. That's a working proof of concept that human interaction is based on one action creating multiple reactions to create multiple reactions, like the ripple effect, but it always gets bigger. We have an actual applicable way to quantify through human interaction that this is a truth of math. That's one. That's one. Now let's talk about quantum physics. Everything's interconnected. So the math of separation and division is impossible. In fact, if you replace the word, God, here we go. If you were to take the idea of a 1 and 0, right? Which to me doesn't exist. You can't have a 0. Show me something that's a 0. If it's a 0, there's no definition for it. If there's no definition for it, then it's not, we're not able to understand it. If we can't understand it, it doesn't exist. Even if it does exist, if it doesn't exist to where we can't understand it and use it in some way, right? So 1 and 0. But it's like water. You're like, you're jumping around a lot, kid. I know, because there's a lot that goes to this. This isn't some just, I'm going to throw a fact out there to tell you how it is. I'm going to show you why it matters. If I take this cup and I put water in it and I fill it up with water, it's a cup of water. And I take and I put this cup and I pour half of it in another cup, then there's 2 cups of water. If I take, go on and so forth, it's just more cups of water, all the way down to 1 drop of water, then it's a drop of water. But let's say it's just a little bit more than a drop. It's a cup of water, a mostly empty cup. There's a measurement, but it does not ever take away from it being a cup of water. You can't argue that with your math, because that's true. As long as there's 1 molecule, then technically there's water in the cup. You can't take away from water. You get it? You can't. And you can't create it. So sit down. But the math behind this works perfectly. And the design for the free energy device that I shared with you, which I've multi-free shared for years now, it's being used, we're being lied to. It's based on this math that I can put in X amount and get back Y. It works like that literally in life, literally in science, literally in everything except physics. Physics states that you cannot get more than you put in. Then how come, dependent upon how many crankshafts I put in on the reaction side, how come I can definitely get more electricity back than what I put in to move the crankshafts? How's that work? It only works because my math equation is correct. And that one law of our physics is incorrect. And I don't think that people are ever going to agree with me. I think seeing the machine built in front of them and running and operating their house, I don't even think that's going to get people to agree with me. I think it's based on the perception of what we think. I tell you the sky is blue, and you will tell me that I don't understand the color blue and I am wrong. I had a face tattoo, missing teeth, homeless. You take your pick. There's a whole bunch of things that in society's eyes make me less than. I don't have a college degree. I don't have a piece of paper. So I can't be educated in any of the things I'm speaking on either. Nope. But I can guarantee you beyond a shadow of doubt with proof of concept, not only in observation, but in building a machine based on these principles, that it works perfectly. And there's a ripple effect from this. Because if you can mechanically figure out how to manipulate how many reactions happen instead of trying to create one reaction from a bunch of actions, if you just flip it and do the polar opposite, it works just the same. The reason I got onto this is there was an absolute and there was only one truth. There wasn't even a polar opposite or an equal exchange of energy. There was only one way to do it. Even though everything exists as energy, somehow all we can do is lose energy. That didn't make no sense to me at all. I don't care what your physics say. It's just simply because you've never even thought to create something because you can't multitask sciences. It's how they're keeping everybody blind, in my opinion. It's why it's a big cult. You're part of this kind of science. And how good are you at this science? And who's smarter than you? And who are you competing with for that award or for those, endorsements or the fucking funding? That's what science is right now. It's not the better understanding of the world. And no, it's a cult. And that cult is built on the fact that you're never allowed to get more than you put in. You know what happens if you tell a joke in a crowd of people and everybody laughs? Have you ever seen humor ripple? I can't put in and get more back. You know how many good things have happened in my life because I did something not with the intent to get back? And because I wasn't the resistance to the energy, it multiplied in ways I couldn't understand. Isn't that faith? Did I just throw the idea of God into this too? I might have. I might have. You definitely can put in X and get back Y. And not just as a concept of human interaction, and not just as a quantum physics theoretical idea, but you can create electricity this way. I used to think about, well, why didn't you just put the big turbines in the water and let the ocean just go back and forth on the tides and just move the living shit out of those, and then we just have all the energy we needed? Why wouldn't we do that? We have no problems setting up oil rigs that we can pound to the bottom of the ocean through the worst storms and drill 300 feet into the bedrock and successfully mine oil day in and day out. But we can't just do water turbines? Don't we have a bunch of oceans? We can't do high altitude kites for wind farms? That's not possible either. So I brought atmospheric pressure changes, the very thing that moves the entire everything. I put in a little itty bitty machine. All you need is some water, a 3D printer, a couple pieces of metal. You can just buy it. You don't even have to fabricate them. I did that. You should watch the next video. You're going to be like, what? No, he didn't. Yes, he did. And that's the math that proves that it works. And you can tell me that I'm as dumb as a rock. That's okay. I think rocks are pretty smart. They've been here longer, they've seen more. But an atmospheric pressure change scientifically creates more energy than it costs to produce. There's a natural law in the world that exists called weather that disproves that law of physics that humans seem to hold as such goddamn fucking truth. And I'll tell you what, all you have to do is look up. You guys see that movie? That was a funny ass movie. Don't look up. If it rains on your head without you looking up, understand that one action caused all those reactions. One pressure front caused the fucking tornado. One pressure front caused all that destruction. Do you think the tornado was as big at the? No, it builds up and gets bigger. It becomes destructive. It touches down. It destroys everything, and then it dissipates because it's over. Can you imagine if you took this technology and actually harnessed just a tornado? You figured out the exact harmonics that made the atmospheric pressure change create the conditions for a tornado to internally exist. That's possible with this math. And using this math, if you could create a tornado that was moving so fast that you could power the generator turbines that you have in dams, and that's not even my new technology, because I talk about it in the next video. I speak on understanding a whole new level of where we should go with science and working on proofs of concepts. The machine that you'll see in the next video has already been built. It doesn't need your belief to exist. It already exists and works despite this law of physics that I have been indoctrined to believe was true until I just started studying the natural flow of weather. I wish weather scientists and astrophysics would get together. And I wish once they had a baby, that baby would maybe, like, when it grew up, want to date like somebody from, say, the science of harmonics. And then if you took those two kids and they had kids, eventually you get a baby that understood like 5 of the sciences and how they correlated. And those shouldn't correlate, right? But they completely do. And then you got to bring in astrologers. Just because of the movement, you can then calculate how the atmospheric pressure change itself is going to occur, and being able to get the probabilities of atmospheric pressure changes down. You could then create the conditions to continually create whatever kind of atmospheric pressure change you wanted to. That's the math behind my machine that I created. And I'll never see a dime for it. They already built it and they're using it. They already took it. But it was like a teaser. It was almost like I was teasing myself, because this was created almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, somewhere in that back time period. Notarized, blueprints written out, things figured out, given away to people. I went somewhere with it. Then I got lazy. But I wanted to make this video after making the other video, because speaking on something's one thing. Where's the math to prove you're backing, kid? What do you got to say for yourself when it comes to numbers? That's the numbers. I'm literally have built something against this physics truth. I did the polar opposite of what this thing is. You can't put in, if you put in X, you can't get back Y. You'll get back less than X. You see? And it's because it's based on the resistance. But if the resistance isn't there, if the point of the creation isn't to get through the resistance, but to create no resistance and get max output, it changes the dynamic of this physical truth. And it's a big one. It's a big one, because even though I've thought about it like this, I could see theoretically how you could do a lot more with it. And I don't pretend to be a master physicist. I don't pretend to be indoctrined into a highly select fused knowledge of theoretical physics. I read some of it. I'm giving it my best, ballpark figure on it. But how, as a layman, as I like to think of myself, a normal human being just trying to learn things, how did I create a working model actually creates more than it puts in, and you're right. It's not even if I'm wrong. There's gonna be a bunch of DIY guys that watch this video, and they'll be like, I can build that. And then they're gonna do it. Because with their hands they can build way more than I ever. But maybe I could too. Maybe I already built it. But only because it was a simple model. I imagine with technology and with some ideas and things that I don't know about, you can improve upon what I had done. My entire philosophy is based on the fact that if I do good, more good will be in the world. A complete idea of free will is understanding that you can either add or subtract from the world. You can be negative or you can be positive. You can be an asshole, you can be good. You can be anything you want to be. So my philosophy of free will is you have the choice, if you want to create more than you are by yourself through positivity. You can't, I think negativity only subtracts from your life. You can gain material things, but you'll lose them eventually. Can't take it with you when you die. But you could do so much good. You could create an idea. You could give the world something, even if it's a smile that nobody else did because you were the one that did it. There's only one you. And that smile changed the world for one person, maybe. Don't get egotistical. Don't act like you have, but you could if you wanted to. And if you just kept going, how's that bad? So tune in to the next video. Maybe some of you already seen it. You're sitting there with questions, and this one's going to pop up, and you're like, oh, you bastard. But enjoy the ride. We got many more miles to travel. When I started this page, the intent was to do 61 videos to change the world with my philosophy of free will. I'm going to start getting a lot of comments soon. And every time someone makes a comment, I think I'm just going to make a video about it. If it's worthy and it's serious and it's worth some deep thought and contemplation, I'm going to make a whole video on one of your guys' comments every time. That might take forever. I might never stop having to make videos, and I'm going to make 3 or 4 a day because we're having so many conversations about different things. If you ask me a question, I'm going to do my best to answer it. And if you have a reflection that changes my opinion, I'm going to make a video about it and tell you how you changed my opinion about something. Oh, it's going to be fun. This is just going to keep growing as a page. Like, we're all going to have a lot of fun with it, and we might all learn something. All I'm bringing to the table right now is what I've learned. That's all I got. Here's what it looks like. Slime and shit covered and everything. Here it is. What do you think? I know it smells bad, but what do you think about it? At some point, I'm going to get what I wanted out of this through the social experiment, is to learn new things. And through that new understanding of you guys saying stuff to me and telling me things and explaining to me how it is and why I'm wrong, why I'm right, how it helped you reflect on something, whatever kind of comment you leave, I'm going to keep growing because I'm bored. And if you watch the wolf videos, I've done trapped all the wolves in my life. I'm really good at hunting. But I ain't got no wolves left. They're all in traps. Even the ones that don't think they're in traps, even the ones that think they're stalking me, they're all in traps. It's all going to work out. All I have to do is follow my philosophy and stay in love and only care and be responsible for my reactions to things. Therefore, only be in an action and never somebody else's reaction. Never. Fuck you for trying to enslave me. So I hope this helped. I threw it all together real quick because I had a really deep thought that I was like, oh, I should have thrown that in the last one. I was like, no, I shouldn't have. I should just make a whole video about it now. The math states that you can put in X and get back Y. The way that it works is you have to divide how many reactions there are. And if you can quantify how many reactions will happen based on the action, and you can figure out the reaction you want to cause something else to happen, math works like that too. Physics work like that too. The world works like that too on every level that I've been able to come up with. And there's some more. I have more patterns I'd love for you to talk with me about and understand and get a better grip on. But this math works. Magic don't work, prayer don't work, God don't work, the devil don't work. But for me, this math works. And there's no lost energy in it. None. The action, all of its output is used to create enough reactions that the output from those. See how we never went into resistance? I don't want energy to go back and forth. You've got it wrong. You create energy that creates so many other things to light up that you get more energy than what you put in. Love, if you want to be so blatant and whatever about it, love itself. Every time I put love into something, it grows tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. And the ripples of it cause other people around you to interact with their lives differently. And if you're telling me that that doesn't control reality, if you're telling me that you can't fix the whole world just by everybody rippling love, you're a goddamn liar. You ain't shit. You're negative as fuck, and I don't care how you feel about it. So there it is, a little bit of my opinion, some philosophy, and the math as to why exactly in the next video that you'll see that 100% of the time this works. And that's why you've never heard about it. It's why it's never been debunked. That's why even though it's been on videos that had hundreds of thousands of views, I've been viral before. That nothing was ever said and I was never shot in the head. I'm broke. I'm homeless. I could never afford a lawyer. I didn't get the patents. Why kill that person? You just ignore that stupid homeless person and take their design and use it yourself. And I bet it's some of my haters, some people I used to know or used to follow me or watch me. I guarantee it's some of those very same people connected to me through the past that are now holding on to humanity's future. And I'm going to out them. And then I'm going to build cooler shit that makes the shit that I built 8 years ago look like dog shit. Because the machine I built only works in gravity. And it wasn't applicable for space. And when I realized how easy it was to fix energy on the Earth, I immediately started working on how to create the same energy in space in a different way. And like, it's beautiful. And it works perfectly based on energy always traveling to the highest point. And that's all I'll tell you about that one. Because that technology I'm sitting on. Because I'm fully expecting miracles to happen in my life soon. Bona fide synchronicities that absolutely lead me down a new path that I ain't seen yet, new experiences and new exploration. I love it. And somewhere along those lines, you heard it here first. Somewhere along those lines, I'm going to meet somebody that understands higher sciences and understands technology and takes my thoughts for what they are. And then through that collaboration, I want to create some things. I want to give old Elon Musk a little run for his money because I'm going to create everything myself. Can you imagine what would happen to the world if Nikola Tesla had Elon Musk's money? Man, we'd be so crazy different of a timeline right now. And a lot of people discredit in the scientific community Nikola Tesla completely. That's okay. That's all right. Because everything they use to do science is based on Nikola Tesla's fucking theories and math and science. It's pretty good. But I want to leave one little piece of technology right here at the end of it. I'm just going to give you a reflection that I know. And the reason I'm giving it to you is because, well, I'm an asshole. I embrace that. Jolly asshole, happy asshole. But boy, can I be an asshole. And I know there's people watching. Not because I'm crazy or I'm dumb, because I'm relatively intelligent and I have a couple of good ideas now and then. You never know what you're going to mine out of this. So there was this thing back in the 1850s, factories, right? Big, giant factories going on. I can't remember what it was. And there was these two machines. You're going to have to do some Googling and history searching to find this. It might have been in Chicago. And there was these two machines that were giant. I think it was for making paper or something like that. They were huge machines and they made a lot of noise. They rattled. It was all steel. I mean, just, you couldn't even been in there. You go deaf. Those kind of giant industrial machines, right? And two of them are kind of close together. And right in between them, because of the sound, literally, this is documented. Because of the vibration and the noise that was happening between the two machines, right in between them, you couldn't push through it. It was solid air. I'm not making shit up. This isn't science fiction. You couldn't throw a fucking baseball through it. You'd like hit a brick wall because of the literal vibration and sound of these two coming together in one open space in the air, and you couldn't move through it at all. At fucking all. 1850s. That was, I think, one of the most important scientific discoveries of our time. The documentation of this existing. Because if everything exists at a vibration, it's simply understanding how to control the vibration itself to control reality. It has nothing to do with anything else. See, because if you start talking like that, you're not talking about action reaction science at all. You're talking about creation and destruction science. Creating molecules and destroying molecules. Taking things out of the order where they're perfectly balanced as they are. And that scares the fuck out of people.